Okay, so for exercise number 27, and they're on my favorites, I'm going to include a drill. And this is something that I think everyone should do, with the exception of people who already have a known injury or pain in the spine, because in that case your first order of business is to correct that. Okay, this one is a quick and dirty traction. Okay, quick and dirty meaning it could be done anytime, anywhere by everyone. Okay, so I'm showing you these gym rings that are higher, okay, than my head. I'm going to just show you using this, but I will talk you through all the different ways that you could do this, with or without this gem ring, with or without the same height, doesn't matter, okay? But this is so important because we have this force of gravity coming down on our spine in our upright position, when we're walking, when we're sitting even, right? And usually the only opposing movement we do for this upright position with the gravity force is laying down. Now, laying down is the mildest, most default sort of traction you can do, but then we're usually laying down for long periods of time, in which case we have compressive force working against us in different ways, right? So an intentional traction, meaning we're creating a passive way for us to create room between the vertebrae, between the discs, and to counteract that gravitational force, which, if you've heard of, that saying that you actually will get shorter as you age, well, that's a huge part of it. This is going to help counteract that. Okay, so this is more of a posture than a movement, so you may not even see much of what I'm doing. So watch carefully. Once I have a grip on the overhead component, I am just going, my feet are still planted on the floor the whole time, okay? So I'm going to just let my hips, so watch around my pelvis, my lower back, I'm just going to let that drop, and a couple inches down, a couple inches hanging back, okay? And I'm going to hold this for 5, 10, 20, 30 seconds at a time. That is your quick and dirty traction, okay? In this way, in the quick and dirty way, we're not getting a full traction from on the entire spine, right? We're just hitting the lower part of our, or the second half, the lower half of our spine. Better than nothing. There are ways without a traction mechanism, whether it's a yoga trapeze or an inversion table, to go ahead and segment your traction. So if you have to do your neck separately, your upper area separately, and then your lower half separately, fine. But as long as we get in traction some way, somehow, I'm showing you this version in order to help work the traction on your lower half. What this is doing is you're not needing the strength or having the need to completely do a dead hang. Okay, so you don't need a lot of arm strength. You also don't need to have a ring or a pull-up bar. So don't equate this to an actual pull-up stance position at all. You don't need to have the ability to even have an overhand grip. You can use the top of a doorway frame. Okay, so just grip it a little bit, because remember, your feet are still in contact with the floor. If you're too short for that, just put a step stool underneath it. Okay, now if you don't have something that's overhead and you have something that's however low, say all the way down to like a kitchen counter level, you would just hang on to the edge the same way. You're not getting feet off the floor. Your feet will remain in contact. You will bend your legs as much as you need to get your hip to drop. So even if you end up being almost, Indian cross-legged with your butt hovering a few inches off the floor, but your feet are supporting you and you're able to put a little bit of a weight. So the only thing that I'm going to say as far as a form, because remember there's all these variations and options depending on what you have, even the edge of the treadmill bar, right? So if you could just get yourself in that position. Now, what that position that I'm referring to only requires that you have your arms straight, okay? So you're not doing anything funny with the shoulder, you're not pulling up on it, okay? Whether it's a scapula pull or whether you're actually trying to raise up on it, no, you're actually putting, holding on just so that you're not slipping off, okay, with the grip. But the point is to drop the hip. That is the whole point, to create that traction. Now, when you're able to get complete traction with inversion, that's when we're able to hold it for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and longer periods of time. In this case, do it first thing in the morning. Do it for 5, 10, 15, 30 seconds at a time. Repeat the cycle if you would like. Repeat it throughout the day whenever you remember, okay? That ability to create and relieve that pressure in between the vertebrae is going to take you a long way. This is a maintenance drill, okay? This is a preventative drill, a maintenance drill. Again, because the corrective side, if you already have an issue, needs to be addressed first, whether that's through medical care, including chiropractic care, or corrective drills. Depends on whether your injury is due to imbalances or an actual trauma injury, right? So those things need to be taken into consideration first to get out of the way. But for everyone else, do this mild, quick and dirty traction with whatever you have, whatever grip you need to use. Just make sure that you get to drop the hip, okay? And it feels really good. So this is one of my favorite things to do that I try to remember to do in some way, some form, some set of traction on a daily basis. So there are, if you actually had specific equipment, I would give you much different instructions, okay? Or different instructions, but this is presented in a method or in a way, in a format that can be used for everyone out there, regardless of what you have, okay? So remember, use what you have, okay? And do the traction and remain tall.